It is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome the very best governor in the Union, the 83rd governor of this great state, Brian P. Kemp.
Thank you all so much. Thank you very much. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Speaker Burns. Thank you for those kind words. I'll tell you all what I just told Speaker Burns and Lieutenant Governor Jones. It's been an honor serving with you. Lieutenant Governor Jones, Speaker Burns, President Pro Tem Walker, Speaker Pro Tem Jones, members of the General Assembly, my fellow constitutional officers, Mayor Dickens, members of the Judiciary, members of the Consular Corps, and my fellow Georgians. As we begin a new year, there are many reasons to be optimistic about the future of our state and its people. State taxes on hard-working Georgians are low and going lower. Our rainy day fund is at a record high. Our schools are fully funded. Our infrastructure is receiving historic investments, and our state law enforcement and educators are paid more today than they were 7 years ago. Our communities are safer. Unemployment is low. More new private sector jobs are being created every day, and businesses around the country and the world know Georgia is the place to be. Our ports are busy and growing. Our kids have some of the finest technical colleges and universities in the country to choose from, and our economy is diverse and built to last. Innovation, opportunity, hard work, and a fair shot at the American dream have a home in the great state of Georgia. There is no question the state of our state is stronger, more prosperous, and safer today than it was in January of 2019. Thank you all. But also I want to be clear, this success, this good news isn't guaranteed. It doesn't happen by default or accident. There's more work to be done and more wood to chop to make sure Georgia continues to be the best place to live, work, and raise a family for generations to come. I believe that starts with continuing to address hardworking Georgians' concerns over the persistently high cost of living and everyday necessities. Since 2021, working together with this General Assembly, we have provided one-time tax relief to the tune of over $3.2 billion, property tax relief, nearly $1 billion, over $2.2 billion in motor fuel tax suspensions, and a permanent income tax savings of nearly $3.4 billion. That's almost $9.7 billion that have helped hardworking Georgians fight through the record high inflation forced upon all of us by the previous administration in D.C. and a Congress that couldn't put down the nation's credit card. These are historic investments in families, recent college graduates looking to start a career, our seniors on fixed income, and single parents just trying to make ends meet. But these investments were possible because we rejected the idea that just because government takes in more money, it shouldn't turn right around and spend it on more government. California may think that way. New York may think that way. But in Georgia, we do things differently. We keep your tax burden low. We budget conservatively and responsibly, and we ensure that state government is efficient with the dollars that you trust us with. And at the end of the day, if we have more than we need, we give it back to the people who actually earned it. As Marty, the girls, and I travel all across our state, we hear from Georgians in all walks of life, hard-working people trying to put food on the table for themselves and their families. And the reality is that too many of our citizens are still struggling to make ends meet each and every day because costs are still too high. Groceries, rent, insurance, clothes for the kids, it all adds up to more than it used to. That's why my budget proposal will include a fourth, one-time $1 billion tax rebate this year that will return or save the average filer $250 and a married couple up to $500. With this rebate, my administration and this General Assembly will have returned over $7.5 billion in surplus revenue to the taxpayers of our state over the last 4 years. We also know that one-time relief is a short-term solution that recognizes the state has collected more of your tax dollars than it needs to fund our priorities and save for whatever the future may bring. We must continue doing everything in our power to allow the hard-working men of our state to keep more of their hard-earned money in their pocket in the years to come. Because as I've said before, that's your money, not the government's. That's why my administration will also be proposing a further 20 basis point reduction in our state's personal and corporate income tax rate, bringing it down to just 4.99%. This will fulfill a promise to the people of the state that I made during my re-election campaign to lower our state income tax rate to under 5%. And with the General Assembly's passage and my signature, it will come a full 3 years ahead of schedule. This tax cut doesn't promise to pay for itself years down the road or create future budget holes with today's one-time money. Our plan fulfills my promise to the voters of this state in a responsible way. And most importantly, this plan puts all the hard-working people of our state first. The reason that we've been able to do this and through it 3 years ahead of schedule is because of our fiscal discipline. It's also worth noting a few other important accomplishments that the last few years may not have made headlines or pleased some of those that constantly advocate for bigger government. Even with the rebate and tax cuts that my office will propose this legislative session, our state's rainy day fund and strategic reserves will still stand at over $10 billion. These reserves are 4 times higher than any administration will leave behind in our history, and enough to run state government for 3 full months. But I also want to provide a word of caution for the future. It's not a question if hard times will hit our state again. It is simply a question of when. When Governors Perdue and Deal were fighting alongside members of the General Assembly to pull our state through the Great Recession, billions more in state reserves would have been a critical lifeline as Georgia families, our state, and our country were experiencing incredible economic hardship. But as good leaders do, both governors made tough choices in tough times to make sure our state weathered the storm. And they both, along with the members of this legislature who served with them, deserve our thanks and gratitude for their leadership. Fast forward to today, and Georgia stands in a historic position to confidently face whatever the future may bring. Showing fiscal restraint and continuing to build on these reserves instead of spending it all in the future may not be popular or easy. But the Georgia of today that has been built over the last 25 years does not stand on sticks made of easy or politically convenient. The Georgia of today stands on a firm foundation, a foundation built on the character of our people, the resolve of leaders both past and present, and by the grace of our Creator. So when the storms of tomorrow come, it is my hope that we will share in a commitment to keeping the state we all love on that firm foundation. Our state reserves are just one area that we have made historic strides in to set Georgia up for future success and prosperity. From the 2024 budget through the proposed amended 26 budget, $4.1 billion in capital projects have been funded through cash instead of debt. This strategic investment will save Georgia taxpayers and future state appropriators $3.3 billion in interest payments over the next 20 years. The cash funding of capital projects we began in fiscal year 2024 has allowed us to reduce outstanding debt by over 20% in just 3 years, and the ratio of our state's debt service to revenues is just 3%. The lowest since the state began issuing debt bonds in the 1970s. These savings were all made while implementing historic tax cuts, returning billions to taxpayers, and investing over $6 billion in water, sewer, and transportation projects across the state. Refusing to grow government, budgeting conservatively, and paying off debt aren't flashy. They don't get you on the cable news, make you famous on social media, or fit on a bumper sticker. And that might be the reason Washington has been so allergic to them. But I learned a long time ago building houses that it's better to be a workhorse than a show horse, because workhorses deliver results ahead of schedule, under budget, and do right by the customer. And that's exactly what we have been doing together for the people of our state. Another key investment this General Assembly and my administration has made is in our state's workforce. During my administration, we have reduced our state employee turnover rate by over 25%, all while keeping the size of our full-time state workforce at 2019 levels. We've invested in a vital workforce, saved taxpayer dollars in training and equipping new employees, and utilized innovation and technology to better deliver state services. Our state employees have done an incredible job in unprecedented times and are one of the driving forces behind Georgia's success. That is why today I'm proposing a one-time $2,000 pay supplement for all state employees, including our educators and state public safety officers. This is just another reminder, on top of the pay raises and supplements we have provided in years past, that their hard work does not go unnoticed and that we are truly thankful. Thank you all for recognizing that with your applause. These important investments, tax cuts, rebates, and record state reserves would not be possible without the drive and hard work of millions of Georgians who get up every day and do the best they can to provide for themselves and their families. They go to work chasing the American dream, hoping to earn an honest living and leave their kids and their grandkids better than they had it. That's the American spirit. That's the spirit of what it means to be a Georgian. When I launched my campaign for governor, it was about promising those hardworking Georgians that I would fight for them every day, whether they voted for me or not, regardless of their neighborhood or their zip code. Republican or Democrat, or something in between, my goal was to make a positive difference in their lives. As a small business owner and a construction guy, I believe so much good can come from an honest day's work at a job that pays a good wage. And I believe in what that job can do not only for that employee, but also for their family and that community. And that's why my administration from day one has prioritized economic development, job creation, and bringing investment to all four corners of our state. Over the last 7 years, Georgia has seen over 219,700 new jobs and more than $118 billion in investment from projects worked by the state development team. 64% of those jobs and 75% of those investment dollars are going to communities outside the metro Atlanta region. Since 2019, we've welcomed the 3 largest economic development projects in state history and continued Georgia's streak as the #1 state for business for an unprecedented 12 years in a row. But here in the best state for business, we don't just welcome big companies. We also champion small businesses that have a big impact on local communities. A great example of that is an Italian food production company with a facility in Alma, Georgia, that employs 110 hardworking men and women. This facility also happens to be a former bakery that went out of business years ago. To that community of less than 4,000 people, the loss of an employer like that can be devastating. But because we prioritize economic development in rural Georgia, La Regina came in and revitalized that facility and created 110 jobs that are making a real and lasting difference, with more on the way. The impact of this small business extends far beyond Alma's borders. In addition to moving plenty of goods through the ports of Savannah, La Regina also purchases local produce from over 100 Georgia farmers, including more than 40,000 pounds of onions per week. With touch points throughout that region of our state, that one small employer produced a record 25 million jars of pasta sauce last year alone. When Marty and I went to southern Italy in 2024, we visited the headquarters of this family-owned and operated business. We talked to the men and women who have preserved their families' recipes for over 100 years. And we saw how similar their values were to the very family-owned farms and businesses here in Georgia that La Regina supports. That company, a full ocean away from our state, has the same values that we do: family, community, and a strong belief in a hard day's work. Today, we're joined by 2 La Regina company leaders who represent how small-town Georgia and international markets truly connect, all to the benefit of our workers. In the gallery is Emilio Rinaldi, Chief Operating Officer of La Regina, who has moved his entire family to our great state. He is joined by Jerry Lady, the plant manager and employee 1 for La Regina at Georgia's facility. You'll be glad to know that Jerry was the former bakery manager for the company that closed down. Will both of you please stand and let us thank you for your investment in our state. Whether the size of the Hyundai Meta plant or La Regina Food Processing Center, each project, each facility, job, or investment represents a generational opportunity for a Georgia family and their community. And one of the biggest reasons these job creators of all sizes choose Georgia is our highly skilled and reliable workforce. Over the last 7 years, we've put more money toward education and workforce training programs than ever before in the history of our state. In fact, as of this current fiscal year, we have not only fully funded QBE 7 times, but added $368 million to programs and initiatives that directly prepare workers for good jobs. We've also set new precedents when it comes to school safety. Starting with the first year of my administration, we began with 3 campus security grants totaling $184.5 million, and then added $109 million into the base budget so every school system can plan for how to best keep our classrooms and all of the children in them safe. We will again fulfill that commitment in this year's budget, bringing the total amount that we have allocated to school safety during my time in office to over $511 million. Appreciate that. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. I also want to take a moment to also congratulate and thank the members of this body, both past and present, who joined my administration in achieving something that not many people thought was possible when I was sworn in as governor 7 years ago. In fact, when I pledged in 2018 to raise teacher pay by $5,000, I remember a former opponent of mine claiming I was making false promises to our educators across the state. Well, in a way, the media and the doubters were right. We didn't raise teacher pay by $5,000. We raised it by $9,500. This historic investment in our educators increased the starting salary for a Georgia teacher by almost 28%. And you don't have to get an A in math to know that that's an impressive jump. Let's again take a moment to thank all of the hardworking Georgians who lead our classrooms, pour into our students, and help keep and make our state a better place. Thank you all. In addition to K through 12, we've also made historic investments in our post-secondary education institutions and programs while reducing costs for students and families. Over the last several years, we have worked together to return the Hope Scholarship to 100% of its promise, all while the Board of Regents has held tuition costs in check across the system so greater opportunity in Georgia can remain affordable. Contrast that with other states that have again and again raised costs of higher education, all while inflation reached 40-year highs under the prior administration. The University of California, for instance, raised tuition by roughly 19% between 2019 and the current academic year. But here in Georgia, tuition has increased by just 5% in that same period. And your partnership in eliminating the special institution fee helped us lessen the impact on those increases on hardworking families and students. In fact, data from the National Center for Educational Statistics shows that Georgia is one of the top states in the country for four-year public university affordability. All while we've kept the cost of higher education in check and college within the reach of Georgia families. We've also invested more in post-secondary education than ever before. We're now putting $2 billion additional dollars toward higher education in Georgia than when I first took office. That includes $40.7 million in this year's budget proposal alone for healthcare education facilities and medical workforce training programs. And since I first took office, we spent over $26 million for medical residency slots in our state, adding 897 positions for a grand total of 2,523 residency slots as of this fiscal year. This year, my budget proposal adds another $2.1 million to further this upward trend in such a critical workforce need. Along with these unprecedented investments, Georgia is truly the national leader in merit-based aid for higher education between the Hope Scholarship and grant programs. But in this era of high prices and new challenges for those graduating from high school, we also recognize the advantage that need-based financial assistance can give to those who would not otherwise be able to access higher education. Like their peers who have the means to attend college, these students have great dreams for rewarding careers and impactful lives, but they don't always have hope that those dreams can become a reality. Dreams without the benefit of hope remain dreams deferred, perhaps for entire generations. How much richer would the lives of those and their families be if they could attain the type of education that leads to a high-paying job with great benefits? And how much would communities across our state benefit from these young people getting a degree that opens their door or starts a rewarding career? I believe we owe it to every child to ensure they start out on a level playing field, no matter their zip code. Therefore, my amended budget proposal invests $325 million in the University System of Georgia's Dream Scholarship Program, the first need-based scholarship of its kind in Georgia history. In future years, this one-time endowment will create opportunities for generational economic advancement for thousands of students. And down the road, it will allow them to complete college and begin meaningful careers without the burden of crippling debt. The Dream Scholarship will build on the incredible, unmatched legacy of the Hope Scholarship and leave no stone unturned when it comes to student achievement in our state. From now on, throughout the country, Americans will know that hopes and dreams are alive right here in the great state of Georgia. This unprecedented initiative will also complement the Georgia Match program we launched in 2023. In just the first 2 years of Match, we've seen a 5.9% rise in USG enrollment and a 7.1% increase in TCSG enrollment. Meanwhile, other states around the country have seen decreases in public university enrollment, and 17 states are still well below pre-pandemic levels. Not only is Georgia's workforce strong and growing, we continue to outpace our competitors for at least another generation in this regard. When you consider all of these measures together, it's clear to see that our commitment to those just beginning their careers in Georgia is unwavering. But so too is our commitment to those preparing to finish their careers of valued service to the people of our state. I'm talking about the men and women who face danger on a regular basis to protect our communities. Marty, the girls, and I feel the weight and value of their service and sacrifices on a very real and personal level. We have seen firsthand the uncommon bravery they embody, and we have mourned with their families when their service has come to a tragic end. We have been reminded of countless times of just how exceptional they are for answering the call to serve, when law enforcement are under siege more than ever before. That is why today I'm proposing an enhanced retirement plan for state law enforcement officers. Under this Under this new model, the state would provide a higher match to the 401k savings accounts of eligible public safety officers through a steeper contribution schedule. Not only will the state's match increase at a higher rate, but will also raise the maximum percentage cap from 9% under the current plan to 15%. By year 10 of an officer's service to the state, 3 full years before they would reach the contribution cap under the current plan, they will already have obtained the new maximum match of 15%. When you contrast that to the current system, we're effectively doubling the state's contribution for state law enforcement. I believe this is well deserved, given the dangers that they face in today's world. But this new model will also help us better recruit and retain brave and capable public safety officers, and will put Georgia's law enforcement retirement plan well ahead of other states. Those who are post-certified, who run toward danger, who help shield even the people who try to vilify them, deserve a safe and assured retirement, and we are going to give it to them. Our commitment to law enforcement in Georgia is only matched by our unrelenting determination to go after those who operate in the evil industry of human trafficking. Thanks to the tireless efforts of the best First Lady in the country and members of the Grace Commission who are champions in this fight, you have overwhelmingly passed 10 pieces of legislation that make Georgia a safe haven for victims and a hostile place for traffickers. Those measures include the launch of the Human Trafficking Prosecution Unit within the Attorney General Chris Carr's office. Since its creation in 2019, that unit has secured more than 70 convictions and rescued and assisted over 200 children. With your help in the legislature, we have also expanded this unit with 2 new regional offices through the funding in the amended 25 and 2026 budgets. I know that our First Lady would want me to take this opportunity to thank you all for your continued support in this fight over the years, whether through legislation or budgetary actions. While we have made incredible strides in this area, and while Georgia is now the undisputed national leader in anti-human trafficking policy, we all know this fight is not over. That's why my team will introduce an 11th bill in the coming days that will further protect our children, expose abusers, and save lives by preventing the silence imposed on far too many victims. Modeled after Trey's law passed in other states, it will be just the latest reminder that no child should be a victim of such an evil act. As a mother of 3 beautiful daughters, and as someone who spent time as an assistant pre-K teacher and a middle school substitute teacher, as an unwavering supporter of those in our state's foster care system, and as a First Lady who never fails to have a smile and a hug for the children she meets throughout Georgia, Marty has truly been the perfect person to lead this cause to make sure Georgia's sons and daughters are safe. Her grace under fire, along with the work of those who have been in the trenches on this issue for decades, created a turning point in this state when it comes to identifying and stopping this crime that affects every county, yet hides in plain sight. Though our work here is now its final year, the impact of her human trafficking efforts and that of so many others in this room and beyond will be felt for whole generations. Will you join me in thanking her and all of us, all of them have been in that fight. Y'all didn't let me get out the part about thanking those that have been in the trenches on this issue for so long. But both Marty and I are so appreciative of all those people that are out there every single day that we never get to see fighting this good fight. So thank you for recognizing them all. Just as we have made historic progress in fighting human trafficking, we've also made monumental strides in going after violent gangs. If you'll recall, just a few short years ago, members of the Atlanta media didn't think our state faced a gang problem. They weren't listening to the sheriffs and the prosecutors who were witnessing firsthand the rise of gang-related violent crime in their local communities. But the members of this body in my administration were. In 2019, my office worked with many of you to stand up and fund the anti-gang task force within the GBI, and then later the gang prosecution unit within the Attorney General's office. Since then, the GBI has investigated over 1,800 gang-related cases and arrested close to 2,500 offenders with gang affiliation. They've also seized over $95 million in drugs and illegal items associated with those crimes. That's $95 million worth of illegal substances and dangerous weapons that are not in our schools, on our streets, or threatening our neighborhoods. Complementing the GBI's good work, the Attorney General's Gang Prosecution Unit has also investigated and prosecuted cases in 19 counties, securing over 120 convictions across the state. We're also taking the fight to gang members and other dangerous criminals on the very streets where they operate through the Crime Suppressing Unit, now in its 5th year. With the combined resources and personnel of multiple state public safety agencies, partnering with local law enforcement, the CSU has found and arrested 1,340 wanted persons, helped take dangerous drugs off our streets by arresting 557 traffickers and carriers, recovered 1,179 stolen vehicles, and apprehended 49 murder suspects. Here is a news flash to those who try to demonize our law enforcement. This is what happens when you simply let them do their job. I see Chief Sherbaum up in the gallery with the mayor. He has been a great partner in this effort. Thank you, Chief. I again want to thank the men and women working in these units for their dedication to keeping our families and our communities safe. As you all know, this is my final time speaking to you in the State of the State address as your governor. Some of you may be more happy about that than others. But I hope you know that it has been an incredible honor for Marty, the girls, and me to serve as your first family. We have done this together every step of the way, and I'd like to take a moment and ask if you'd join me again in recognizing Marty and the girls for their service over the last 7 years. I love y'all. Thankfully, the girls look like their mother. I'd also like to thank my mom, my sister Julie, and her family who are also here with us today. I know Speaker Burns recognized you earlier, but love you all. Thank you for your support. Today I've talked a lot about past accomplishments and some very important issues that I believe we must address in our final legislative session serving together. Don't be fooled, there's more work to be done over the next 37 legislative days. And for those of you who may think I'm a lame duck, just remember I have a big red pen. But in all seriousness, I was just thinking about what to say to my last captive legislative audience. And I was reminded of an old hymn written in 1924 called Little is Much When God is in It. The first and second verse say the following: In the harvest field now ripen, there is a work for all to do. Hark, the Master's voice is calling, to harvest calling you. Does the place you're called to labor seem so small and little known? Well, it is great if God is in it, and he will not forsake his own. In God's Word, we have so many examples of little acts of faith reaping more than one could imagine, often done by people of lesser means or lower standing in society, but filled with God's power and guided by his design. My family's service to this state will be a small footnote in the history books. Your service under the Gold Dome will likely be the same. When compared to the heroes of our faith, or everyday actions of so many heroes across our state, our service pales in comparison. Our goal as elected leaders was to do the best we could for the people who sent us here to serve in this building. We worked together to make our communities safer, their dreams more achievable, their lives more prosperous, and their future a little brighter. When I put my hand on the Bible that Marty was holding in January of 2019, I didn't know what choices we would face. I didn't know what challenges would come. And while the last 7 years have seemed so big in our lives, the many decisions and the outcomes, the truth is that the budgets, the new laws, pandemics, elections, legislative debates, political arguments, at the end of the day, they're small. They're small when compared to the plan of the master builder, our Creator. But my hope, my prayer, is that God would be in those small things for our service together. Because I believe he can take whatever we have done and help build on it for the people of our state and make it great. The last verse and chorus of that hymn I mentioned says this: and when the conflict here has ended, and our race on earth is run, he will say, if you've been faithful, welcome home, my child, well done. Little is much when God is in it. Labor not for wealth or fame. There's a crown, and you can win it if you go in Jesus' name. Let's go finish the race. Like Nehemiah said, let's finish the great work we started. Thank you all. It has been an honor. May God bless you, and God continue to bless the great state of Georgia.
Governor, you nailed it. I think I can speak for every individual in this gathering. You don't know how much we appreciate your friendship, your leadership for the people of Georgia. You've made their futures brighter and fulfilling in so many different ways, along with the marvelous First Lady. We appreciate you, and we look forward to continuing this year on a strong note. And certainly, you said you may not be remembered in history. I think you will. And we're going to help tell that story. Thank you all. It is a great day to be a Georgian, isn't it?